Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Dan from Rebellious Noise, and I'm joined today by Scott from Rebellious
Yo,
Noise. And we are here today to talk to you all about AEW's Double or Nothing 2020. Pow, pow, pow!
nice fireworks.
So they kick off with their version of the kickoff show. They call it the buy-in, I'm guessing?
They'll buy in, yeah.
The buy-in, where they had the number one contendership match for the AEW Tag Team Championships between Private Party and Best Friends.
Didn't see any of this.
Good, because neither did I.
All right, let's move on.
I see like brief highlights of it.
Okay, yeah.
I know that it basically finished with Best Friends hitting a strong zero to win the match. They
Good for them.
showed respect before the match. Quen hit a shooting star press on Trent. Taylor made the save, gave Quen a pile driver. Back and forth match. Best Friends hit strong zero, won the match. Winners best friends. Main show starts.
Well, here we go. All right.
They're not all going to be as quick as that. All the reviews.
No, and usually we do watch pre-shows and stuff like that, but I was busy cooking. Which will be a theme in a lot of these reviews. I like to make what we call a wrestling special. Okay, so yeah, starting with a main show. I was really surprised they started with the
Money in the Bank Casino Royal Royal Rumble ladder match thing.
Yeah, I was surprised. I think I don't know, like because there was a lot of talk about it being obviously who ended up being Brian Cage, the surprise. So I think it was a bit of a risky move to start off with the guaranteed surprise, I guess. But I thought the match was good, and I do like these kind of matches opening cards. You know, like you alluded to the Money in the Bank there. When the Money in the Bank used to be on Mania, and when many have those kind of ladder matches, I like them starting the show.
I thought a lot of time it was the opening match, wasn't it? A lot
yeah,
of the time,
and I like that.
They'd always go a big multi-man match. So.
Yeah, so in the context of the show, I think it worked really well. I was just a bit worried at the time that they were spoiling their surprise because, you know, we all know obviously what's going on at the moment and there's no audience. So do you really want to have those big surprises anyway? So I think because of that, they definitely held back on a few signings that they are probably making, you know, and debuting them here. But, and I knew they had to have a few. So obviously the Brian Cage one was that. But I just thought it was a bit of a risk that people might have tuned out and thought, well, I've already seen what the surprise was.
Yeah, I think it's always an awkward thing when you've got like so many like big matches on one card. It's like, you know, where do you kind of position it all? Because you don't want to say start with, you know, no disrespect to them, with one of like say the lower matches or the matches that haven't got any stakes kind of thing, and then, you know, the audience could basically just be like, oh, well, this is a bit of a slow start. I guess they wanted to have that big like pop straight away, you know, because it's either, I mean, in the back of my head, you'd think, okay, if you want to start big, you'd either start with the obviously Stadium Stampede match, but that would obviously have to be main eventing, or one of the two world title matches, so the women's world title, the men's world title, or the TNT title. So it was just essentially like, what order were they going to really put them in, and you know,
I think it's the right one to go with first.
Yeah, definitely.
Went. But yeah, what did you think of the format? The whole 2-minute thing. I wasn't a fan of that.
It's strange because like there's 9 guys in the match, and it's like, okay, so they're announcing this big surprise. You know, in the back of your head, okay, the surprise is definitely going to be like the last entrant in the match. But then you also think in the back of your head, but in theory, the match could actually be over before that's
100%. And they even said that because part of me was like, today, like before recording, I was trying to like remember some of the key points, and I thought, wait, am I sure that they didn't say anything about that? Maybe the match could, you know, it doesn't actually officially begin, because WWE have done that at certain matches as well. You can't officially do this until all the participants.
Like the War Games match, for example.
Yeah, exactly like that. So I thought, was it? And then I was like, no, it was the exact opposite of that. They expressed specifically that this match could be over before everyone gets in, which I guess is a bit exciting in some ways. But then I guess it's that luck of the draw, kind of like the Rumble, where what position you're in is favourable. Because if you come in last, you ain't got to be in there for long. but at the same time, you could have missed out. So I like that they could do something with that, but I don't know. I felt it was a little bit lost still with a ladder match, just because, like you say, someone could get up there and grab it, and without the audience, the whole 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I can count backwards, was kind of lost.
Yeah, I think it's one of them where I don't know how, like, going forward, whether they will ever actually do it where, you know, you're announcing, say, like 9 guys, and then,
They're
you
all
know,
just
obviously you're only pretty much seeing like 2 or 3 of them. But you know, I think there was no danger that every man was going to get into this match, and I think though overall it was actually a pretty good match. Do you want me to just run through the participants quickly?
Yeah, go on.
So, as you know, it's a casino ladder match for a future AEW World Title match, and it featured Darby Allin versus Colt Cabana versus Orange Cassidy versus. It was meant to be Rey Fenix, but he was replaced by Joey Janela versus Scorpio Sky versus Kip Sabian versus Frankie Kazarian versus Luchasaurus versus TBD, which turned out to be Brian Cage.
Yeah, and as for the surprise goes, I think it was cool. Brian Cage good in a match. Glad.
And what do you think Taz coming with him as well?
Yeah, see, you know what, when that voice came over, I was like, that's Taz.
Come out with his little orange towel and stuff.
Yeah, then he said the word Cage, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I was like, it's not going to be Taz, but yeah,
could have been Christian Cage.
Could have been, yeah, could have been. I love Taz. I'm glad he's in AEW, so hopefully it'll be good. I guess being his little manager, mouthpiece sort of thing, that'd be quite interesting to see.
It'd be interesting going forward to see what role he does actually take up, like whether it is like.
Because JR wouldn't stop going on about it all night. What was Taz doing? Most times it's the shit. He's a manager, mate.
It's like, mate, you've got his number. Just drop him a text and be
that's a good point.
Yo, Taz, what's your role, mate?
What's going on, man?
Know your role. Shut your mouth. Carry on.
Well, tell us your role and then shut your mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, the match itself, I really enjoyed. You had some big spots, obviously. Darby Allin dropping in from height on his skateboards. You are going for a ladder because Darby Allin does that kind of stuff.
That looked quite nasty as well, man.
A Death Valley driver from Janela to the outside onto a poker chip. And I think this is when they were all trying to like bundle on Brian Cage and keep him down.
Yeah, I think wasn't he was down and they had loads of stuff on him. Was it like they threw ladders and everything on top of him already? Another thing as well, I liked it when Orange Cassidy came out and he went over to the announce desk and was like, "So how do I win the match?" And then stood in the ring and tried to like reach up for the chip, then laid the ladder down on the floor.
Yeah. I know there's
one little tiny step and tried to get it. It's like, mate, come on.
I know there's people that they've got a thing against Orange Cassidy, but I like it. I think it has its place. I think it's funny. So it is what it is.
I mean, you need that comedic stuff.
I think it works better with a crowd, but you know, because they can do, especially when he does the little tap to the leg and they go,
yeah.
you know, like stuff like that. But and like really amp up his little mini super kick. But yeah. Still, I'm really enjoying it. I'm surprised how much mileage they're getting out of his character, because when I first saw him appear, I thought, oh, okay, yeah, I get it, but like, how long can this last? And they've done really well to get quite a bit out of him, to be fair. Cage seemed to mess up his eye. Did you notice at the end his eye was quite swollen as well as
No, didn't notice.
Yeah, so I don't know how he did it.
I did notice as well though when he came out, and he just looked like a bloody monster when he came out. Just literally had a ladder and just ripped a ladder in half. Also, one thing I did notice, I mean, it wasn't like essentially like one of the nasty ladder bumps, but the whole thing with Colt Cabana when he got like pushed into the corner with it and he got his fingers trapped in the ladder, that must have hurt like a mother fudger.
Yeah. Another cool spot was the Marco Stunt Luchasaurus double chokeslam, where Stunt used his little...
when he had to stand, the little like Hornswoggle style.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those matches where there were so many spots. We'll be here forever going through them. But really good match. I enjoyed all of it. All the participants, I think they worked well. Even Brian Cage, you know, someone who I think if you look at him, you think, how's he going to work in a ladder match? But He really did pull it off.
I like the finish as well. Finish was pretty inventive when he had Darby Allin essentially the ladder perched across like the two ropes. Notice obviously they had to do it twice, live TV. Make sure you did it properly. And yeah, the gorilla press slam, literally with the ladder outside the ring, was pretty cool. So yeah, Brian Cage, and then it leads into him, obviously, I guess, facing the champion.
Yeah, well, I think he. It sounds weird because he's, especially because AEW try and do this whole rankings thing. He probably was the most likely to win it as soon as you realise he was in the match, just because the other guys in the match, they haven't really been built towards having a world title match. But then again, there's been a few title matches over the year that haven't been quite your typical ones. So, But
and I guess he's going to now have to carry around a big chip with him until
I don't know if that's
until he wants to like cash the chip in.
I don't think it's going to be. See, that it would even make sense using the cash-in terminologies and stuff like that with that.
Yeah. But because I was reading an article the other day, like people have seen like there was numerous people saying about, so how come AEW are actually copying like a WWE thing? It's like, but people need to remember the Money in the Bank idea was actually Chris Jericho's.
Oh, yeah, true. And
WWE are using Chris Jericho's idea, so essentially AEW are using an idea of
it's kind of like the whole Bash at the Beach when they used that name, and the whole War Games concept being used in NXT, and AEW trying to do their own kind of thing as well. But yeah, generally speaking, good match.
Thought very good ladder match.
Good way to start the show.
So then we move on to MJF with Wardlow in his corner versus Jungle Boy. Gotta say, straight off the bat, love MJF as a heel. He is just amazing as a heel.
He is great. And I like how he doesn't compromise his character either. You know, when he was with Cody and he people knew he was going to turn, he still played it really well. Like, he was sympathetic. He was actually just misunderstood. He was a good guy, and just had a few bad traits sort of thing. But then when he switched it back on, like, he's been non-stop since, full force with his heelisms. And I make you right, man. He's a great heel. This match, one of the matches of the night for me. And I didn't expect to be saying that. Not that I think these aren't good wrestlers or anything, but there was such a stacked card that I thought this is just probably going to be, a good match in the show. But this is one of the matches of the night for me. I thought it was absolutely incredible. The all the pinning combinations and the mat wrestling that they did. There was one early on where they both, like the standoff kind of thing. They did one where they were like, I think they were bridged sort of upside down on their heads, looking at each other, and it's just so inventive. So much in this match was like stuff it was refreshing.
And I think as well, you forget, like, I think they mentioned on commentary, is it MJS 24, Jungle Boy's like 22.
Yeah, 9 years wrestling experience between them.
Exactly. And they're pulling out like great matches like this on like a top pay-per-view. And it's like, they've both got, I guess, like Hall of Fame careers essentially ahead of them if they carry on at that rate kind of thing. But yeah, I think MJF is just one of those, like, he's one of those characters where he can play an absolute, like, I'm trying to keep it as PG as I can.
Tell.
An absolute beep as much as he can, sort of
Not
thing.
Not a very nice guy.
But exactly, yeah. And I mean, I liked the way that the match was finishing as well, with when he climbed up, Jungle Boy was on the top rope, and then MJF was grabbing at the referee. And the referee was holding onto the rope. Nudged into the rope. Did Aubrey Edwards' Ultimate Warrior.
The ultimate ref. You know what I loved, and it goes into the kind of heel side of MJF, but I say heel side, it's the only side at the moment. The doctor spot, which was really, like, I felt quite inventive. Like, we've seen stuff like that before. Obviously, it kind of reminds you of Eddie Guerrero kind of, shenanigans. But to have the doctor come in and literally have Jungle Boy walk back to the corner sort of thing was a fantastic way to use that spot.
Yeah. it lures him into like a false sense of
Mm.
security. It's like, oh, is he
And
actually
yeah,
hurt,
we've
kind of
seen
thing.
stuff
So
like that before. We've seen the full set of securities. We've seen the distractions, but it was perfectly done the way they put it together. I don't think I've seen one quite like that before. So
yeah, I
really
think
enjoyed
it depends, I guess, on the character of the wrestler, and the MJF character does work super well with it.
And Jungle Boy is someone that would try and go back and just be honourable and a little bit naive to the antics of MJF as well.
Exactly.
You also had, and this is what I really like about AEW as well, they try and amp up the whole sports side of things. And you had Excalibur on commentary mention that Jungle Boy has an orthodox stance, and therefore his left arm, which was the one I think was being worked on, is closer all the time when he's going forward. And I thought that was such a clever little thing to.
Yeah, because it'd be like your left hand would be like your jab hand, and then
It's very, very clever to basically,
yeah,
to emphasize why working this arm was a big deal in the match. And they worked it really well as well. Like it was the main
yeah,
part
definitely.
of the downfall for Jungle Boy. But Jungle Boy's offense as well, the reverse runner to the outside, where the back of MJF's head just snapped off of the side.
Oh, when he cracked his head there, the onto the apron, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he was like down and that, and then it was like,
Oh
I was
yeah, and
like,
he's trying to push him up to get him up and stuff as well. I don't know if that
yeah,
was
he did that all like one armed and stuff like that as well. So
yeah. Oh yeah. So
yeah, but
um,
no, overall I thought it was a very good match. Like, I liked the finishing spot as well
mm,
when they kept like doing like the bridging stuff, and then I think they described it as like a modified European clutch.
yeah, I remember they said something like that, and it's the holding of the hands. It was really like, and
Inventive kind of thing.
Europeans, a bit of a key there because that's the kind of thing you'd see in traditional British wrestling. Those kind of
Exactly.
versus the old kind of style with those kind of pin attempts. And I thought it was a very clever way to end the match. Like usually a quick like ending like that would usually just be a schoolboy, those kind of pins, or even a crucifix.
What you
But
mean the most devastating finisher in all of
of
professional
course,
wrestling?
of
The roll
course.
up.
But this was a really inventive way to have that same kind of quick style, but not be the same old kind of just roll up and pin. So I really enjoyed this, and it didn't take away from the match basically.
No, it was really, and I thought it was one of those where if it was say like just a big like one big move and then somebody had like got a pinfall, I would have been like, yeah. But I think where it was one of those decisions where it was like it could have gone either way kind of thing, and it was like not necessarily a sneak victory, but it
Yeah, it
seemed
was
like
still
it was like,
genuine, like as much as
yeah,
it could be for MJF. But yeah,
it wasn't like no like shenanigans or anything like that, which was good. And there wasn't like massive like interference from Wardlow as well,
nah,
so that
yeah, it was
was
kept to a minimum. I mean, you've got enough when MJF is doing his own sneaky tactics anyway. So
yeah. Cool. So we then move on to the final of the tournament to crown the inaugural TNT champion, which featured Cody along with Arn Anderson against Lance Archer, who was accompanied by Jake the Snake Roberts. But first and foremost, we have come out, I and Mike Tyson, with a awful championship belt.
I was wondering what you thought about the title.
Apparently, though, they said it's not finished due to
Yeah,
the
okay. I'm
virus.
more frustrated with it not being finished than how it looks, because I just think, look, I understand it's a difficult time, like, and we've run events, and sometimes things
Yeah,
aren't ready like we want them to be. Even with producing videos, sometimes some items don't come in time that you're meant to be using as props or whatever it is. I understand, but you'd like to think they had a long time. They knew this was going to be a title a long time ago,
yeah,
and I'm sure they're kicking themselves and annoyed more than any fan is. And I saw a lot of people giving them a really hard time online about it, and some
yeah,
people blindly defending them as well, like they always are, because there's these stupid WWE comparisons as far as like just putting blame on companies. But
kudos to him for actually going ahead with it, even though it wasn't ready.
yeah, I think they needed to do the tournament. They needed to have the match. I just feel, but I also feel bad for him because that Tyson shot of him bringing out the title, introducing the title, was something they can use for years, you know? So it's a shame if the title is going to drastically change, and it's always going to be looked at. It's going to be a reminder, basically, of that, rather than him holding this prestigious-looking title, however it's going to look in the end. But what did you think of how the title looks in a moment, then? I just thought it was too bland in the middle. I don't know what they're changing to it, but...
Yeah, I mean, apparently, so the commentary said there was some gold plating that was going to be added to it. So
maybe around the TNT?
Yeah, the TNT logo, maybe on the side plates and stuff, so it's like more gold and silver. But I think at the moment, I mean, it looks like something that you could just buy like online. Like there's shops where it's like, oh yeah, we'll just get like a red strap.
It looked like an indie title.
Yeah, we'll stick some like black and silver plates on it.
I like the idea of the red strap.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen comparisons to the 24/7 title as well,
which apparently Cody poo-pooed and like before and said about how you shouldn't have a title that says 24/7 on it or something like that. So
and I mean,
in the middle.
There was a media call that we were on with Cody the other day, and he was actually adamant that he had not yet seen the title, but he was going to see it essentially on the day of the show.
Might have to watch that back then, that reaction.
Yeah.
In case it is true and not just character talking.
But yeah, I mean, it was, for what it was, I mean, they obviously had to go with something. They couldn't have exactly gone to like Toys R Us and just bought like a replica or something and
I think they might
come
have
out with it. But...
no. I'm giving it a bit of a hard time there, but I don't think the title looks that bad.
No.
Some people are trying to make out, like I said, those that are trying to get brownie points for opposite companies and stuff. But I do think it's a bit of a shame. And I'm interested to see what it's going to look like in the end.
I mean, I think when you look at the pictures of it, it doesn't look as bad when you look at pictures. I think because of how he held it when he came out, and you could only see like the side plate either side. Yeah. It did look very like a toy-like belt. But then when you actually see the whole thing laid out, it didn't look too bad.
Yeah, some of the detailing on the side plates and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it does look better. I think, like you said, it's the way it was held and the big main plate being the one that's got the least detail on. It just doesn't.
I think though, shape-wise, I actually prefer it to the other, like the 2 world titles that they've got. But anyway, hopefully we get to talk about the match a bit more than the actual championship belt itself. But what I really liked as well at the very start was how they made it seem like a massive deal with the whole thing with like the referee. So kind of like how they do in boxing, where you had like the ring announcer. Do you know, ironically, I didn't even twig that was Dasha Fuentes from WWE.
Okay, yeah.
Ring announcer. Yeah, because I heard them mentioning there as Dasha. I was like, oh, is it the same woman? And yeah. But surprised Justin Roberts wasn't there. But
yeah, well, he's usually. But I guess at the moment with everything going on there, because even with on Dynamite, they've kind of rotated the commentators. They've had wrestlers step in and stuff like that as well.
But yeah, I thought that they made it feel more like a big fight. I think by like doing the stuff beforehand and that. But
obviously having a boxer there helps. With
and I think
presentation.
Yeah, Cody he took some serious punishment. And you know what was really nice? A Cody match without him getting busted open.
Yeah. We had enough red on the title, mate. We don't need any more. Yeah, I thought this was a good match. I really like little subtle things again that AEW do to make it seem like sports. Like Arn Anderson being called a coach and coming out with the what looks like a diner menu. But basically what I have in American football, the little playbook, the tactics and stuff like that, and it showed it close up, and you saw like it had the name of the match on and stuff like that. Where he's actually acting like he's a tactical coach here. So I like little subtle things like that. That they're not just saying, oh, he's a manager, like he's with him. He's here doing dirty tactics. He was here like, as analysing his performance, giving him help like you would in a real sport. So I like that little touch. But yeah, the match itself was good. Archer, I think, continues to impress. Obviously they pointed it out on commentary, but him to be able to walk the ropes like that, and then hit a moonsault. And we say this a lot, and it's kind of a cliche, but we can move for a big guy. But like sometimes you just got to say it. He can move for a big guy. So yeah, hats off to him, man. Well,
But then the thing is, they say about oh yeah, he's a big lad about walking the ropes. There's a certain guy that's like 2 inches taller than him by the name of the Undertaker that also does that.
Yeah. But just because one other person does it doesn't mean it's not incredible still.
Yeah. No, it obviously is more, and it was actually interesting because I watched it really like I was watching it closely, and like how he was like rotating, like the way that his legs were on the ropes. It's like he had one foot going that way and then the other foot going the opposite way as he was walking across.
Right. Yeah.
Quite interesting actually. Like just watching that.
The way he does it.
Yeah,
Nice
how it
footwork,
did it. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I think there was, as I said, there were some big bumps in it, like Cody getting thrown from the stands like early on over to the floor, looked like quite a sickening bump. There was when he got thrown over the post, like the military press onto the floor.
Oh, when they showed the camera from the turnbuckle as well, and then Archie looks right in the camera. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, and one spot I did really like though was when he locked in a crossface on him. Cody locked in a crossface on Archer and then used his hair across his face.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty cool. And Jake Roberts obviously climbing on the apron to break that up. And then there was like a little spot where they were like Cody hitting a DDT to annoy Roberts, and then Archer followed that up with the Arn Anderson spine buster.
Yeah. What did you think of the actual? We kind of missed it earlier, but the presentation of the show as far as having other wrestlers and stuff act as fans. I think it's much better than WWE.
It was, it's a lot better.
There's still a thing about safety and stuff like that, which I don't know what they're doing. They mentioned twice at least on air that they're testing everyone.
Yeah, apparently they're getting tested. So something that Cody was saying as well. So going back to obviously the media call thing, was apparently if you look at each of the talent, they will all have coloured wristbands on, so much like you would at a club. Okay. And so I think it was on Dynamite this week. Everyone had like a green and a pink wristband. That's each one is for how many times they've been tested that day.
Oh, okay, cool.
So if you see them with wristbands on, that's what it is. It just means that they've been tested and they're negative. So
that's good. It's reassuring. I hope the people in the audience are the same. I'd imagine they were. But yeah, you can't help but feel, they're quite close to each other, and that one's not wearing a mask, and you know what I mean. So that's the only issue with it. But as far as the presentation goes, if it's all safe, I'm all good for it. And it was, for me, it was better than WWE's presentation, especially on Double or Nothing is going to probably be compared to WrestleMania, in some sense, because it is like Double or Nothing comes from the original All In, even though they've got an All Out now. But anyway, Double or Nothing seems to be their biggest show of the year. And it was a real shame that it didn't have an audience, much like WrestleMania, and therefore even Money in the Bank. But I feel like this kind of dealt with that better, you could still have that kind of background emotion like that. And the reason I bring it up here is I think it was quite prevalent in this match because Cody is that sympathetic one. Everybody was cheering for Cody and stuff like that. So I thought it was a really nice touch because that moment of him winning the title, just like winning the NWA title at All In, is something like Cody is built for those moments, those emotional babyface wins. I think he plays it really well. So to have a bit of an audience there really, really helped this win.
Yeah, and I think what I like as well with Cody is that he doesn't want to be one of these like owners or whatever sorry, it's not the owner, but one of the like decision makers, shall we say? There we go. That he could essentially just book himself to win any time he wants, but he's booking himself to lose quite a lot of the time. So then that gets the fans more on side and being like, oh, we actually want to see Cody win. And,
I mean, they had that whole thing where he was like, I'll never challenge to the world title again. And people thought, well, a way around that would be to have another title. So
the second,
so I like, in some ways it felt a bit obvious that he was going to win this.
I mean, the only other way then they could have got around that possibly would have been to have him in the ladder match and win that. So then it's like, he's not allowed to challenge for it again.
You've got a challenge sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, I guess so. But I'm sure they'll get around it someday anyway.
Yeah.
But I like that they're sticking to it for now, and the TNT title kind of gives them a bit of leeway with that. But yeah, generally speaking, really good match. I was a bit confused though about Arn being the one that got sent to the back. I mean,
the one thing's as well, 'Cause it was Mike Tyson that told him, wasn't it?
Yeah, he snitched. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
do you know what? I literally, I've put on my notes here. Lance was walking the ropes. Jake distracted the referee, but
Mm,
then while he's distracting the ref, Arn knocked the legs off of Lance while he was walking the ropes.
mm,
Then the other referee came out, told the referee in the ring,
mm.
hashtag snitches get stitches.
What they will do if
And then,
they
yeah, and
stick
then
around too long.
they say to Mike Tyson to like what to do, and he's like, oh, kick him out, and then throw Jake out as well. It's like, what the?
Yeah, it was it was a bit of a. I feel like it was a little bit sloppy. Maybe without a crowd is kind of well, we're just talking about there kind of is a
Yeah,
crowd, but maybe it was lost a little bit with that. But generally speaking, I like the fact that they did get rid of him because
yeah,
and I like Jake, coming in with the snake in a
just
bag and Tyson kind of getting ready because and they've got Tyson at a really good point because Tyson
exactly.
is looking like he's making some sort of a comeback and is in incredible shape, which you could see from when he took his top off. Like he, for a man of his age, is not slowing down anytime soon. So, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any of the footage of him sparring recently, but my goodness,
I haven't,
impressive.
no, but I can imagine.
Yeah. So,
I
yeah.
remember there was a story that Chris Jericho was saying about when he did a spot with Mike Tyson, and
Oh,
he
the
was saying
punch
that,
thing with
yeah, and he
the
said he's
X and that.
never felt, yeah, he said he never felt force go past his face so quickly.
Yeah, feel the air in it. Like,
Yeah, he's like literally, he said, I'm either gonna get my jaw not completely like off,
mm,
or this is gonna... But yeah, he's I think yes, it was good having him there. I also like the little throwback from Cody to Sting, because there's obviously rumours that Sting could have been the last man in the ladder match when he hit the Stinger splash
oh yeah, yeah.
in the corner at one point.
Yeah. And they
But
mentioned
yeah,
Cody's favourite wrestler growing up was Sting and stuff like
yeah,
that. I think Sting eventually is going to show up there. It makes sense, but don't know if
yeah.
he'll be.
I was gonna say how much he can do in the ring is
Mm,
probably going to be a bit questionable if it is
yeah.
like a serious the injury
But I
is
feel like he'd fit there. I really do. Like, there's a lot of stuff about people saying, "Oh, they're bringing on all these ex-WWE guys," but he's not an ex-WWE guy. He's
no. You
Sting.
say Sting, it's
He's
WCW
WCW,
and
and
yeah.
even TNA to an extent. But yeah, he had a bit of time in WWE, and it was good for what it was. But you can't say, "Oh, they're just taking WWE's has-beens." They're not. That's not what this is. And I like the fact that they're using, and they did it with a few months ago as well, with where they honoured the Memphis wrestling legends and stuff like that. They used the people from that generation above, the kind of generation that I feel was kind of
Overlook kind of thing.
yeah, a bit by WWE's because WWE used to do a lot of that themselves in like the 90s. They'd talk about people from the generation previous, like previous to this lot in the 70s and 80s. They talk about the people from the 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
and then like WWE, I think got so into what they were doing, they were huge that they didn't really need to do that. So it's not like ironically, at the moment, when WWE bring people back, it's people from the Attitude Era, and that's when people go, oh, they're just cashing in on that. But I like that AEW are bringing people back from that generation back, the 80s and the 70s, where they can't even wrestle and take someone's spot, really. I mean, all right, you've had a few interactions here and there, but I think it's being used in much more of a almost
Like a
like
subtle way, isn't it?
yeah, like in football where you get like a manager or a pundit. Do you know what I mean? They're being reused and their knowledge of the game is being passed on. It feels a bit more
Yeah.
genuine here rather than people coming in to take spots.
Yeah, and I think it works well because like you stick them with some of like the younger talent and stuff, and it helps like to get them over, and
Mm.
they're passed the knowledge on, so to speak, and having obviously Jake and Arn both there,
Yeah, I mean,
you
how
know,
could you
th-
not want those guys in your company? Do you know what I mean? So it's just
exactly.
what everyone says about Jake, as far as like his ring psychology. I was thinking it in while watching this match, there's a bit where he was like just kind of just walking around the ring and stuff. And I was just thinking, what's going on in his head? Because you hear so many stories about the way he thinks about wrestling and the way
Mhm.
he thinks about every little move and detail. And when he's on top form, he's you can't touch him. So yeah, really excited to see more of this going forward.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it could be one of those programs that does go on for a while. I think they could go on and have like a series of matches
Yeah, there's a lot more you can get out of this.
over that over the TNT title. Is I don't know whether he's going to be the guy that Cody drops it to. Whether Cody's going to have like a rather short run with it, whether he's going to have a short run just to say, oh, he was the first ever champion,
Yeah, maybe.
or whether it could be one of those like kind of year-long runs, but who knows? So yeah, so the finish obviously was we've given it away now. Cody obviously won the title, hit 2 crossroads in the end to get the pin after, as we were saying earlier, after both Arn and Jake were kicked out from ringside. Robert's trying to come back in, but then
And again, we like tournaments, so more tournaments, please. If you like tournaments, go back and watch our WWE World Cup videos that we've done, where we fantasy booked an actual World Cup, 32 wrestlers, 32 countries represented for the men, and we did a women's one with 16 as well. Go back and watch those because they were good fun. So hopefully
they were super fun to do.
They were good fun. Yeah, the women's one just went up the other day, so check that out.
It did indeed. And then we had a slight update on. Yeah, talking of women, we had we had an update on a certain doctor, Dr. Britt Baker. The update was apparently it's a partial LCL tear, interior tibia fracture, and small tendon tear.
Bad timing though, isn't it?
Well, sounds painful. She's going to be giving an update on Dynamite. There's some rumours that say that it could maybe not keep her out as long as people think. It could only be a couple of months. Whereas at first you hear like it's a muscle tear and a fracture. You're thinking, oh, that could be like a year or so. But I think the time frame, you're looking for like a fracture probably 6 weeks to 8 weeks. So, providing it's not too serious, she could be back in a couple of months.
I guess it's good because there's not a lot of pressure at the moment, you'd imagine anyway, as far as they can rotate matches a lot more in the current climate, so, and not having to be on the road and stuff like that. So.
And then talking of obviously rotating matches, they had to obviously draft in a replacement for Britt Baker for the next match, and that replacement was Penelope Ford.
I liked Sabian coming out battered and bruised. I like that continuation.
That was like the most over the top thing. That was so funny.
Yeah. But it was cool.
And I liked as well how they had matching gear as well, pretty much. Like her gear matched his and stuff. Yeah, it was pretty cool. One thing as well I did notice about the Cody thing, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think Cody was probably the only wrestler on the show that didn't have a significant amount of black in his gear.
I'm not going to be able to correct you because I have no idea what.
Because it was literally, when I watched it back, I'm like, why is every single wrestler is pretty much wearing black gear? Or like it'll be black with like another colour. But
I didn't notice that. No,
just totally random thing that I picked up. It's like, come on, guys, be a bit more inventive.
Stat guy Dan coming out there.
Yeah.
I didn't really notice that, but I like I mentioned before tag teams with matching gear is a nice touch. So yeah, I mean partnership like this.
We'll get into matching gear a bit later on as well.
Cool. So in this, I mean, this is a point where I did kind of wince on Statlander's entrance where she went and touched the noses of the people in the audience. I thought that was very, even though they've all been tested and stuff like that,
unhygienic.
It's not very responsible. It kind of
gives the wrong message, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like with the, we've done a video recently about the Bundesliga coming back and what that means to the restart of the Premier League. So go back and watch that if you are football fans. And in that, we were talking about how like you need to be setting an example. Even though you might know, and there might be tests done and stuff like that. It's tough. It's a tough thing. I know some people can say, "Oh, like these are just humans as well," and it's a big burden to put on them. So I'm willing to put it up as a bad call. I'm not saying it was anything other than that, but I do think it was something that they need to scrap from shows for now.
I mean, I've not really seen much of her stuff, but I mean, is that her usual entrance? So, like, when they have like full crowds, is that the same thing that she'd normally do?
Yeah, so she's that kind of quirky alien. Yeah.
All right. So essentially, she's trying to be like, say, as normal as possible, like how she would normally be if there was a crowd, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, so it wasn't just like okay, that's all right. So it wasn't just like a random thing kind of
Nah,
thing.
no, no.
But yeah, I
That'd be
think
worse.
yeah, it's actually one of the shortest matches though. So you had this and the next match. They were essentially just like two filler matches, like
Yeah, I think
no stakes or
it was good
anything.
pacing for them, to be fair, both of them. Yeah, the match itself, it was good. Nice and short, to be fair, and it was good for short notice, like you said, with
Yeah,
Penelope Ford taking Britt Baker's place. I think Dr. Britt Baker. She did quite well. They did well together, to be fair, like you say, working together in this kind of like predicament. Also, the Big Bang Theory as a move from Statlander. My goodness, it's scary. So
it is. Takes a lot of
yeah, a lot of
trust.
trust. Yeah, it's but it looks cool, and
It was very
she
cool.
seems to pull it off really well as far as looks devastating, but it's safe. So that's the perfect combination you want for a wrestling move. So
Exactly.
yeah, liked it. Good match.
Exactly. So Kris Statlander obviously coming out victorious there. Do you think what is she in the rankings at the moment then in terms of women's title shot? I think she was like fifth, I think, was she?
I don't know if she was number one contender. No, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Well,
But
she's
yeah, I
down
think
the ranks now either way, won't she?
yeah, she'll be boosting up definitely. So yeah, obviously Chris, I'll put my teeth in for that. So obviously, so obviously Kris Statlander winning that match, and then we move into the next one. So we have Shawn Spears come out in the ring, dressed in his full Stan attire.
Yeah.
Just essentially went to Aubrey Edwards, right, okay, so he's not coming out, just count it. And surprisingly, Brandi came out, and then Dustin just appeared behind him.
So I really liked how they did this as well. Again, another spot that's been done over the years. But I think it was really well done with the camera, the placement of the camera. And without the audience, I think this is something that both AEW and WWE have focused on more, is the presentation that they can get away. Because a lot of times you're working to the crowd as well as the TV, you know what I mean? So here, you could really just make it about the camera and the people at home, where you couldn't see the reaction of Spears at all until he, slowly turned back around himself and laughed and says, this is all my plan. And then I liked him being stupid and being like, no, guys, once, play the music once, I said. What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
So that was a nice touch. And therefore, again, no audience ruining it by the roar and stuff like that of the crowd. But you had Dustin just kind of slowly come into shot and be a nice reveal there. I thought it was quite well done.
It was indeed. And yeah, black and red dust coming in.
Red dust, yeah.
Red dust.
Red dust, yeah.
So yeah, came in obviously behind him. It's weird, yeah, because he gave him a bit of a beat up and stripped him off, and randomly had Tully Blanchard's face on his
at first, first of all, because his face is quite red and pinky in that picture as well. So at first, I thought something popped out of a little a little hole. It looked like
the old meat and two veg.
Yeah. It was more the two veg that I was worried about. Yeah. It really looked like it could be that.
Going full on Simon from the In-Betweeners, yeah?
Pretty much, yeah. But anyway, on the other side, we had something poking out in the form of his butt. Which, yeah, I feel like Spears played this quite well. I feel like, played the... sometimes you can look at this stuff and be like, because we've seen it over the years in other companies, where it seems like bullying and it seems unnecessary. But I feel like he was playing the fool in a positive way here. It was fine.
Yeah.
Harmless.
Yeah, it was, and I think as well it was good for like just a short little like beat down match kind of thing, and it did what it needed to do. It filled a little bit of time on the show, so it kind of split the card up a little bit, where you had like the kind of bigger matches at the start, and then these two in the middle, and then the other three kind of main matches at the end of the card. So yeah, I thought it worked really well. Dustin came out victorious with the final reckoning for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, I mean, overall, it was quite short. Not really much to kind of say about it, but I thought it worked very well for what it was. So yeah.
Moving on to the women's title then.
So yeah, for the AEW Women's World Championship, it was a no disqualification, no count out
Mm.
match between the champion Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida.
So they really took advantage of those two stipulations, because this was the first match where they really emphasized the
Explored the
environment.
outside there.
So yeah, like obviously in the first the ladder match, they used some of the poker chips and stuff like that, but this one they went all over the place. I felt like it was a good match, but I did feel
Indeed.
like it was too long.
Yeah, I think it was in the second half of the card. I think it was probably the second. I think it was actually longer than the men's world title match.
Yeah, so I've got
Like a
here
minute or two longer.
16:40, and the men's one is 15:30. So
It
yeah,
did seem like it went quite.
I
Just a
think
quick
it
one.
did drag.
Just a quick one. Is her name Hikaru Shida or Hikaru Shida? Because the announcer
Hickory
said
dock, what?
that the announcer announced her as Hikaru Shida, but
Yeah.
then the commentators were referring to her as Hikaru Shida the whole way through. So, what is her actual name? Do we know?
Gonna take a while. We're probably gonna have to have an interview where she says it herself or something. It seems like it's probably just some pronunciation misstep. I'd imagine the commentators are all doing the same, because one of them does it a certain way. Especially JR is probably going, "That's how you do it. All right, I'll do that." So, yeah, I think
She got whipped
we'll
like a
find out,
government mule with
she
the
did run like a
kendo
scolded
stick.
dog. I enjoyed this match. Like I said, I did think it started to go a bit long. Obviously, as you can tell by our accents, we are British, and I was up watching this very, very late, and at this point I started to think I might go to bed and watch the rest tomorrow. Again, it weren't about the match itself. The match itself was good. You talking about the pacing of the cards, and how you had those two, like the slower ones being together, were a good choice in this period of the show. But I feel like maybe it could have been that little bit better if you had this match in between those two. Because it really did go on for quite a bit. I like what they used the environment. It worked well as well, having the people around the ring, which are my favorite line of the night. And I wasn't too sure who said it. Hold on, let me see if I can get the note up. Where someone said, "Why the table got to suffer?" when Nyla Rose picked on the table. Cracked me up. But yeah, and then I looked it up on Twitter, and instantly people had quoted it in different ways and claimed different people had said it, so I didn't want to put a name to it, but I thought it was very funny, and little things like that were nice, having those wrestlers outside the ring. Like, I think they probably enjoyed it, to be fair. So
yeah, and some of the reactions as well for them, it's like one thing I did notice that I liked Billy Gunn when he was like, he's proper goofing around as well. It's like,
I did wonder if like some of them thought, oh, what's too far? We like to get in trouble, but it seems like quite laid back atmosphere at AEW, so I'm sure they were all right.
So, but yeah, I liked the match. I think the only criticism really I've got with the entire show was I think some of the matches did go on probably 5 minutes too long. I think you could have shaved 5 minutes off of pretty much every match on the show.
Yeah.
Obviously not the other two.
In the middle.
Otherwise, they would have literally. Well, one of them wouldn't have happened, and one would have gone on for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where if you're gonna do it, but don't obviously do it for so long. It's like 10 minutes, I think, would have been.
And it does show up. It is more emphasized for people like us. Or by myself last night watching it live. So I understand that. But again, we've done this for years and years and years. Staying up late watching wrestling. So it's not like we're having the slightest bit of tiredness and being like, oh, this is going long. Like it takes a lot for me to think, I might watch the rest of this in the morning. So,
and it was announced at the start, this match has got a 30-minute time limit. I'm like, what the heck? We really got to sit there for 30 minutes.
Thankfully, it didn't go that long. But 16:40 was a bit pushing it for me. But again, like, not saying it was a bad match. Using the poker chips outside.
No, it's really good.
You had, like I said, tables, the power bomb into the corner through the table, I think it was. Kendo stick over the head from Shida, and then like quite a vicious hit, and then a knee to the face as well was how she put Nyla Rose out. But yeah, I think it was a good decision as well. I think Shida impressed quite a bit in this match, so it'll be interesting to see her going forward. with the title. The women's division has been something that I've kind of flip-flopped about how I feel about an AEW, you know? So it's just, I feel like, I don't know, there's something not quite clicking for me with the women's division. I don't know if they need another
like one or two,
star.
maybe one or two stars, but the only thing is where do you get them from though? That's the only thing, because WWE seem like they've hoovered up quite a lot of like the main.
Yeah, and like you don't want to go back on the whole legend thing, because I think the first name that come to mind for me would be someone like Victoria. You know, I don't know what her status is nowadays if she's announced that she's fully retired, but like just thinking about when she was in TNA and stuff like that.
It's going to be Kelly, isn't it?
What would they call her? Ellie.
Barbie.
Oh yeah, probably Barbie. Yeah, I just I think it needs something. It needs that big name, and I think the tag division's kind of floated around like this at times as well, because they got some big name tag teams. Don't get me wrong, but they're usually preoccupied with other things. So yeah, I think bringing in a big name woman, but yeah, I don't know who it would be. I don't know who's AJ Lee. I don't know if she's ever going to wrestle again, but like that's a name, you know, where it kind of gives. I'm not saying these people can't be stars and aren't becoming stars, but and you've got to make your own stars. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like this is the division that's lost. Awesome Kong is that. I'm so glad Awesome Kong's there. Maybe it's just putting her in the title picture. I don't know, but I feel like there needs to be one other.
I think it's more like they say, kind of like legitimizing the title as like, you know, you're advertising it as a world title. Then if you're going to say that it's the women's world title, then you want that kind of on par with the men's. You don't want it as like, you know, as we've seen over the years where WWE just kind of relegated it sometimes to a bit of an afterthought kind of thing with their women's title and then ultimately into the Divas title. But I mean, like you say about people that could potentially come over. I mean, there were, I think, 2 women that were released from WWE, but I wouldn't necessarily say they'd be huge names to come in. So that Rachel Ellering or Evers and Sarah Logan.
Yeah.
But you know,
but they were more on the same par of what these guys already are. Do you know what I mean? Like
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it wouldn't necessarily be kind of like that'd be kind of going sideways rather than like elevating.
Yeah, I mean, having them in there would be good, like you say. But I think that's a good point. They aren't the people to bring it to the next level. Well, that sounds like I'm putting them down in their talents. I'm not. I'm just saying they're not the people to come in instantly and be like, this division is made. You know, this division is legitimized, like you say. You know, I think you do need someone like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to just gonna have a quick look, see if there are any like free agents.
It kind of reminds me of like I know TNA kind of literally seemed to scrape up anything WWE dropped, but there were a few where it's like, no, but why would you not take them? So like Kurt Angle, when Kurt Angle came in and headbutted Joe, my goodness, did that legitimize, you know, Joe, TNA, the singles men's division, you know? So a name like that from the women's division would do them wonders.
So the first one really that stands out looking at this list is someone who we actually interviewed, Kelly Klein.
Yeah, just when you said the first one, I thought, I wonder what, because Kelly Klein's not in ROH anymore, is she? So
she is not.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ring of Honor.
See, she's had that world title experience, but she hasn't had, much like the rest of the AEW roster, she hasn't had that global stage. You know, I think it needs to be someone that's had that global stage as well. I think she'd be a great addition to AEW, though.
I mean, I don't know whether who's the champion over at Impact? Tessa Blanchard, is it?
Oh
whether,
yeah.
You know, whether they've got any kind of deal to bring any of those kind of talents in as well, but
who knows? But they're doing good things. I just think it needs that little bit more of a push, that division. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll get somebody in at least, and you know, I mean, they've got a load of talent there. It may be just that one of them needs to kind of take the bull by the horns, kind of thing, and just like be like, okay, so if they're not going to bring in somebody to try and elevate this division, I'm just going to do that myself.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to do that eventually. I guess I'm talking about a quick fix, you know, early on.
I mean,
promotion. So
I think it's one of those things where if we're having this kind of same conversation come Double or Nothing next year, then it's going to be a
problem.
Then it'll be a bit concerning. It's like, okay, so you've got here and it's just like stagnated kind of thing, and you know the belt's atrocious as well. But Anyway.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, Hikaru Shida and the new women's champion. So the second title change on the show. I think right decision. And obviously Nyla Rose is going to want that back. So could we see that maybe at the next event?
Yeah, I guess it. Yeah,
Rematch?
sets up her chasing, and destroying on a rampage because she's angry. So yeah, that'd be cool.
So then next, I mean, I've always said I'm not a huge fan of title matches. Like I always think if you're going to have your world title, it's got to be your main event. But I think
Same.
Well, I'll make an exception in this case because of obviously what comes last.
Yeah. For what it was and where it was, I think you kind of had to do it as the last match. But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think it would have been hard to top. Spoiler alert, I liked the last match. But I think, again, not that this match wasn't great itself, but it would have, I think it would have struggled to top the Stadium Stampede. But yeah.
So yeah, it was the...
Think of this, like, as... I mean, we got to mention WWE guys, but as two guys that you saw quite underused, one more so than the other, I'd say, but both underused at times. Brodie Lee versus Jon Moxley. What's that? Luke Harper versus Dean Ambrose.
I mean, ironically, it was probably, I'm not sure, at one point, was that like an intercontinental title?
Yeah, there was an IC title. I think they had like a street fight or something like that. That was quite good. I think like 2015 or something like that. But always liked these guys. They work well together. I always thought Harper deserved more.
And I mean, you saw like when we were at the Raw after WrestleMania 35, and when he came out, like there was actually quite a decent pop for him. I mean, whether that was because it was in New York, which is obviously his home state kind of thing.
Yeah.
For, Brodie Lee, or as he was known then, Luke Harper. And then obviously the whole Jon Moxley thing as well. We saw him like his last night with a company.
The Shield and all that, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting how like they were only, I say mid card. Like Moxley, I suppose, as Ambrose was more of an upper mid card guy in WWE.
Yeah, I mean he had the world title runs as well.
Yeah, he had a couple of world title runs, but I think he was always, I think, the overlooked member of the Shield,
which is crazy because when they began, I thought he was going to be the top one.
I think he was the first one, I think, to hold a singles title out of all of them. He was US champ, and the other two were tag champs.
Yeah.
So, like from early on, he was like a good singles guy, but I just feel that he was severely like underutilized.
100%.
Grossly underused. And the same really with Brodie Lee. You know, he was obviously with the Wyatts, and then he did branch out on his own, had an intercontinental title run at one point, and you know, I thought he could have gone on and had a decent thing when they split him and Eric Rowan, or I think he's now being known as Eric Redbeard.
Yeah.
So
that reminds me, I released Mania card. Go back and watch that, guys. We booked a fantasy card with all the recent releases, which is to lighten the mood and highlight the talent that WWE had let go. Some of that talent, I'm sure, will be showing up here eventually.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, it'd be interesting though to see like if Redbeard actually does show up in AEW at some point.
And if they use them together as well.
Yeah. Whether they do that or whether they just bring him in as like a separate entity on his own. Maybe
yeah, I mean
that TNT title picture possibly.
For me, I don't think Brodie Lee was held back because he was in a White Family or because he was a tag team. I know sometimes it looks like that. They're not getting a good singles run. I feel like he was having a good singles run as the IC in the IC picture. And when they brought him back with and they rebranded him as a Bludgeon Brothers, and I just thought that was a silly name and whatever. The whole Hammer thing. I just felt like just go with what you had. You're already a team anyway. And they were acting like I don't know. Sometimes they would act like they're completely new. Like they've never even wrestled together before. They've never been a team. But anyway, yeah, I feel like that kind of thing was holding them back, not being together. So I feel like if you brought Rowan in, I wouldn't mind seeing them together again, or him just even joining the Dark Order. But then it'd be tough to have Brodie Lee as top guy in a team where he used to be on the equal level with Rowan. But anyway, I feel like Lee, I wasn't as excited about this match as I think I would have been if you told me about it 6 months ago. I've not really been that thrilled with Brodie Lee in AEW. I don't like this whole apparent, at least, Vince McMahon gimmick he's doing. I just feel like it's let it go sort of thing. Like, I agree with some of the stuff that you hear and stuff like that. That if it's as terrible, that you're going to hold something, and maybe a few jabs here and there on TV is quite it's a bit of harmless fun in the competition. But I feel like there was just too much. Like, there was the whole thing where he was eating the food and people sneezing. Like okay, like people like us have heard the stories about Vince hates sneezes and stuff like that. But like, even for people like us, there were references in it that I just thought, you're losing me here, you know. And I feel like for the casual fan, which is what they're trying to get a hold of, they're trying to get those lost fans. I just feel like it's not something people want to see. So I feel like it's been a bit of a waste, some of the things they've done with Brodie Lee so far, unfortunately.
I think people want to see him more in the ring because he's a fantastic in-ring competitor. You know, he's a great, like, him and Moxley. I think they did work really well together, and it's like I want to see more of like Brodie Lee in the ring. And
well, but again, his character work is good. Like him, IC title singles run Brodie Lee, given a chance, is what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see the Brodie Lee in a suit, kind of harping back to Vince McMahon references. I don't want to see that. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm being impatient here, but it's been a while. It's been going on for a bit. So but there are still flashes of like who Brodie Lee is, though. Like the Brodie Lee that I want to see. Like even at the end of this, when he lost, like his confused, bloody face and stuff like that, I thought was, you know, little things like that. He's very good at drawing emotion. Displaying emotion and getting you to feel emotion about what his character's doing, you know, like especially when he's acting wild, you know. So I feel there's they've kind of disguised Brodie Lee as something else, I feel, and they need to take that. It might just be the suit. Take it off him and let him be who he is. Bring back that dirty tank top. You know.
I was going to say, it's nice to see that he's actually found a dry cleaners that works now.
Yeah.
Must be moving out to Florida, I guess.
Mate.
That to him. But I mean, just one quick thing about this match. It wasn't advertised as like no DQ or anything like that, was it?
I don't think so.
There was no ruling about that, or like no,
not officially.
So, 'cause one thing I did notice about it, they spent a lot of time outside the ring, and I don't recall the referee like starting a count. It's like, surely though, the rules of the match, if you're outside the ring, the referee should start making a count. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah, true. But then wait, hold on, didn't the finish was outside the? No, it wasn't, was it? Was the finish outside the ring? No, they just did the big paradigm shift. That wasn't the finish, was it?
Yeah, no, it was a sleeper hold, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I was thinking, but they pinned outside the ring, but they didn't. No, but that was really cool, and that obviously busted him open. I don't know if that was legit or not, but either way, it was a great visual. You know, for him to go down there and come up like that.
Yeah. I think it was one of those like not expected, because I mean, you're probably thinking like, oh, that's going to be like a bit of a steel ramp, but then it's like the fact that it just caved
in, completely. It was really well. Great spot.
It did look really good, And I suppose with obviously the next match not taking place inside the same arena kind of thing. They didn't obviously need the ramp.
Yeah, no one was walking around it awkwardly.
I think that would have been like quite like a funny visual if you'd have done that like the match earlier on, and then seeing everyone looking at it like, where the hell are we meant to go?
That was really cool.
I suppose though for Moxley it wouldn't have mattered so much. He walked through the crowd anyway.
True.
But I mean, and it was an interesting thing as well when he put the sleeper hold on him to end the match, and Brodie Lee never actually tapped out, so he passed out. They classed.
Which I like that as well.
You know, and that always it keeps the character strong, like the fact that you beat me, but I never actually gave up. It was the referee that stopped the match, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it works well for Lee, because although I do feel there's things they've kind of missed a boat on with him coming in, I do feel like there's still that strength around his character as far as he can't be taking losses just yet. So like big losses like this in a way of where he's just weak. It was just his body gave out on him. Do you know what I mean? I thought that was quite a good way. And the ref, basically gave in. So
I think it's a good way to kind of protect somebody, as we said, like other than like I hate it when title matches end with like disqualifications or countouts and stuff. It's like, it's good because like you've got the finish, but it still protects him at the same time. It's not like, okay, he can afford to take a loss and then he can just turn around and be like, well, actually, I didn't actually tap out. It was the referee stopped the match. But, the record books will still say he lost via submission to Jon Moxley. So, yeah, Jon Moxley is still your AEW World Champion, and he gets back his championship belt.
Another thing that kind of brings the strength back to Brodie Lee's character is him kicking out at 1 on the paradigm shift. And then I think... Then he
kicked out and like hulked up, didn't he? Like kicked out, sat up,
which is nasty, biting that bloody face, and then hitting another one. The 2. I'm not a big fan of people kicking out finishes like that, but I guess when you put into context, this is supposed to be big bad Brodie Lee, and this is supposed to be their big show of the year. Like it's the kind of thing that happens on Mania, and you let it slide because it's Mania. So I'm gonna let it slide here as well.
Where do you stand on the whole biting thing though? Because like obviously with Statlander touching people's noses and him.
Yeah, but you can't. There's not much more you can. You're in a match with him. You're sweating on each other anyway. So there's not much more you can do to worsen your chances. So.
Yeah, social distance. Yes, just stand over there. I'm gonna just like virtually do a move to you, kind of thing.
But again, decent match. Surprisingly shorter, even if by a little bit, than the women's match. But it was. Yeah, it was good. Indeed.
I thought, as I say, I thought like it was the right outcome. I think they did it in the right way as well. Kept obviously both guys looking.
Yeah, because it is too soon to have Brodie Lee win that title as well. I think he needs to be built up more and more and more before he finally takes it.
Yeah, I'm thinking like probably another, what are we in now? Maybe probably by the end of this year, potentially they may think about putting it on him,
possibly all out,
Yeah, maybe it's like someone else will take it in the interim, maybe, or they'll just keep it with Mox.
Yeah, I think Moxley's a good person to have it on at the moment as that star, as that kind of alternative. When you are getting those people going, oh, I remember that guy, like from the Shield when I used to watch wrestling 5 years ago or something like that. Like there are going to be fans like that go, oh, that guy, he's cool, So. And thankfully, he did have a bit of that in WWE, so they can use it.
Indeed he did. So then we move on. Should we move on to the main event?
Let's do it, man. I'm excited to talk about this.
So we have the Stadium Stampede match. Essentially, this was what Vince wanted for WrestleMania, a ring in the middle of an empty stadium.
Yeah. And everyone had a stupid idea, but it worked well here.
But the only difference is Vince doesn't actually own a stadium. Tony Khan does, so Tony Khan can do this.
Yeah. And I like that they've used all their resources. The location for all their events have looked really cool. Is it Daily Place?
Daily Place.
So
is that like a little like concourse thing just outside it by the looks of it? I think or an amphitheater. I think they call it. That's just outside of the stadium. But
I think it's when they have their early press conferences and things like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Or when they were announcing stuff. So good. I think good to have that in your back pocket, really, isn't it? And the stadium.
Exactly. Yeah, and that. Credit to him as well. He essentially just gave the guys free reign of it. He's like, just go and destroy whatever the.
Mate, it was
go and destroy what you want, kind of thing.
Yeah, it was great to have that, like I say, in your arsenal to use.
I mean, but one thing I've got to say though about this one is, so this went probably about 35 minutes. So this match went the same length as. Combined pretty much the last 2 matches, so the women's and the men's world title. But if watching both of them, they seemed like they dragged more like each match than this one in its entirety. I think
it's the nature of the match, everything fresh, and how many people are in it, all the different side matches you can do, kind of like how they did that at the Money in the Bank as well.
Yeah,
but I think this was done better than most. I nearly said any because I really like the Boneyard match, but any of those, most of those WWE kind of strange matches they've been doing lately, I think this was better than most. I don't know what I'm saying there.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it with my partner just like before we started recording this, essentially. So I watched that match in its entirety, and we were both literally sitting there and we were watching, and we were going, yeah, this is much better than WWE. It's like, this is
Yeah.
what Vince wishes he could have done.
100%. Yeah.
But,
Did you see that tweet that went around? That I think it come from Reddit actually, but it was a video of if WWE had filmed the Stadium Stampede, because they did a few shots in the stadium the other week as well. And so they used that footage and they just zoomed and did loads of quick cuts. Like we mentioned in the Money in the Bank, how terrible the editing was on that match.
yeah.
All over the place, and kind of took away from a lot of the performance. Here, it didn't. It was shot more like, I guess, a wrestling match. There were obviously some trickery done later on with the whole Matt Hardy thing, which we'll get into. But generally speaking, it was much more like wrestling. Did you notice as well, JR said a comment at the end, which I don't know if it was if we should be taking it as a dig at WWE's non-traditional wrestling matches, or if it was just a disclaimer and an asterisk like the WWE haven't been doing themselves, where he said basically it was a great match within the confines of the pro wrestling world. He was basically emphasizing that, yes, this is different, but it's within the wrestling world, and they have done a really good job, is basically what JR was saying. I'm not sure if that was saying, look, we did it within the pro wrestling world like you didn't, or if he was basically saying, look, everybody knows this isn't what you usually see, but I'm telling you right now, they've done a good job of keeping it within the pro wrestling world. I think it was probably more that, a disclaimer and an asterisk than a dig at WWE. I think it was just acknowledging.
Might have been a little bit of both, like a little subtle dig.
Because I mean, the one that comes to mind is the Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse match, and as entertaining as it wasn't pro wrestling, you know. So this one sticks to pro wrestling a little bit more. So I don't know if that's what they were referring to, or if they were just referring to, look, there's a lot of matches at the moment, and we're doing it a bit different. But look, this is still wrestling, which I thought it was. I thought this was still wrestling and still really, really cool.
I think it was 34 minutes or whatever it was of entertainment. It's like it kept you hooked, kind of thing. It's like,
mate, even when it's smiling through most of this match, I don't do that when I watch wrestling.
But it was, even when it was like slowing, like you felt the pace was slowing down a bit, there was still something to kind of keep you hooked. And it's like, and you keep thinking in the back of your head, oh, well, this person's just done this, so what if they're going to actually like pop up and do this or that? And
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said this is what they probably wanted to do with WWE. I feel like the Money in the Bank thing was kind of similar to this. It was probably the most comparable one. But I still think this was better. I liked a lot about the Money in the Bank. Go back and watch our review on that. I'm not, dissing it or anything, but I feel like this is exactly what it should have been. Do you want to go through some of the big spots? I mean, early on, we had the smoke machine, the flames, the entrance, and all the NFL-looking gear.
Yeah, so I mean, for anyone that's not actually seen the match, it was Matt Hardy teaming with the Elite. So that's Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega, the AEW Tag Team Champions, and the Young Bucks, taking on the Inner Circle of Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana and Ortiz. Inner Circle, all in their matching football gear.
I loved it.
I
loved it. I wonder if they're going to sell that.
And I like the little subtleties where they said about Jericho wearing the same number, I think, that his dad wore. And then,
really cool. 93 for when Guevara was born.
Yeah.
And it's like they're using their resources. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just make it American football thing. That's cool. I think, like, look, if anyone can go, oh, mate, we need some jerseys. I know where we can get some jerseys. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We run an American football team.
And it's one of these things, it's like, it's subtle, and it basically, and for somebody that's watching it, you're thinking it differentiates who's on what team as well.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's like shirts versus skins, isn't it? When you play football.
Yeah. It is,
obviously, I was always on the shirts team because like no one needs to see this. So.
But yeah, it was kind of like that.
And Adam Page coming out on his horse chasing.
Oh, mate!
I love the fact he still had his belt on as well the whole time.
Yeah, I was wondering why he wasn't showing up, and I didn't think, it's because it's going to come on a horse. So there were a few weeks back on Dynamite. There's loads of gifs of it online of him running around from the golf cart and getting hit by the golf cart, which was hilarious. Anyway, but then, mate, doing it again on this show, but doing it again with a horse as well. My goodness, it was so funny. I was cracking up when just watching Guevara. He plays that heel really well as well, but him running, like, crapping himself basically from a horse. It was perfectly done. The horse, I don't know how they train these horses, but a horse
Yeah.
Was working with kayfabe here, brother. He was running really hard down for Guevara.
And I got to say, I think Sammy Guevara for me was my MVP of this entire match. I thought
Really?
he was fantastic throughout it. Yeah, really, really, really liked him. So they did some stuff early on, like in the ring as well, which was good. It was
it was good to use the ring, weren't it?
and it's really interesting as well to see like that's essentially what. Like I know we keep going back to WWE, but that's like what a WrestleMania essentially would look like before everyone got in there, and it's like
it's good as well because let's be honest, AEW couldn't fill that stadium. Yeah, that sounds. I remember it just reminds me, and I can't remember who it was. It was one of the.
To be fair, mate, they still had more people in the stadium than WWE did for WrestleMania this year.
Yeah.
Boom! Shots fired.
But, I remember years ago they said that about these guys pulling off an event like All In, and then they did. So maybe Cody will take that as a challenge. But I think they can get there. Don't get me wrong, I really do. But at the moment they couldn't. So why not use that facility? You can't use it and keep open just a lower level. It look weird, or just keep open one side. It look weird, So why not use it when it's okay to not have fans in it? It was a really, really clever time to use it. I really liked the presentation. Like obviously we got use of the goalposts and stuff like that as well. But just having the team logos on either side of the field, the AEW logo in the middle with the ring, and then how they started the match as well, just charging into each other. I thought it was really a really fun way to get things going.
And I liked as well how they played on the football thing with Aubrey Edwards just blowing a whistle at the start.
Yeah.
I mean, I think another interesting way they could have done it was there's that big massive bell in the stadium. Someone could have literally used that to like ring that bell to signal the start and the end of the match. But I did like the football reference to it. I mean,
I feel like the part where I don't think the match did drag that much, but there was when it started to get a little hokey, all of those spots happened in a row, and that was my only concern. Like you had the suplexes that went all the way over the pitch. Obviously, it didn't actually happen. They just cut and whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool. The bit where Jericho had the flags, threw the flag down, they wanted to go in a replay tent. Yeah. That was really cool. But you had a lot of them happening at once. So like VAR, yeah. A lot of them happened one after the other. That was the only thing that I think took away from it. It started to feel a bit too
hokey kind of thing.
But I liked all those spots. I just think those ones needed to be separated a little bit more. Other big spots you have.
I mean, I like the Matt Jackson one when where the hell did he find that big ladder from?
Oh yeah.
Do they have huge ladders just literally lying about in football stadiums?
You never know. It's a big stadium. They've got to get a lot of maintenance done, mate.
Yeah, but I like that, and then hitting the moonsault on Jericho and Sammy. And what was interesting as well is I liked the fact that they had like a referee essentially following around different people as well.
100%.
And it was good. And the fact that the commentators actually made reference to the fact that the referees had like some kind of like, whether it's a walkie-talkie or whatever, but they had a device to communicate with each other, which...
But again, it's those little subtle things that they do that just make the presentation so much better. That make it more believable. That because you're not getting lost in, how would they not? You're not doing that kind of thing, which happens so much in WWE.
And then when they mentioned about I think they mentioned on commentary, you need 20 cameras to film this. And they're like, we've only got 18.
Yeah.
It's just like little subtle things like that. I think it kind of draws you more in as a viewer, and it makes you feel like they want you to be a part of it. It's not like, we're just putting this on for your entertainment. It's more like, okay, we're putting this on, but we still want you to feel like you're a part of it. So we're going to kind of explain a little bit of what's going on.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think as well, what made me feel like I liked it a lot more than the WWE stuff was the fact that there was the commentary with it as well.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's
because you think like Boneyard match, no commentary. Money in the Bank, no commentary. It was just like I think that was literally what made it drag, like the other matches drag. Whereas this one, you've got the commentators talking through it and reacting to it and stuff, and
there were so many things that needed good reactions and got them because of the commentary. Do you know what I mean? Like it really emphasized those moments. Sammy did you see Sammy's incredible shooting star press to the outside as well? Like they really benefited from not having a guardrail and fans where they had so much space. You had I think
there's
Nick Jackson
moonsault first, wasn't it? Before
Santana,
shooting star straight after
all
that
stuff, and they had like just the room to do it, so that was really cool. The wrestlers must have really enjoyed those spots.
it must have been fun for them coming up with all these different spots and stuff like that, and being able to like think, okay, so what can we do in this area of the stadium? What can we do in that area of the stadium? You know, and I think, as I say, like I liked the spot with the goalpost where he hit the moonsault from there. Surprisingly, they looked actually quite shaky when he got up there, that surprised me quite a bit.
Oh, well, he looked shaky, you mean?
No, the goalpost. Yeah, I thought they were going to be like a lot more solid.
Because when he got up, I was thinking, oh, this is going to be tough to walk. But he thankfully did it on the bit where you had the bit going forward as well. So they could put, because if you stand straight, you're 2 feet like that, it's going to be tough, you know. To get balance, it's a lot easier to do it like that. So
it's like a little like T-bar thing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so like
exactly. Yeah. So I thought it was wise that he did it from that spot, basically. But I really enjoyed that. The swimming pool, I don't know why there's a pool there. I imagine if people are in a pool while they watch games there, that's pretty cool. But yeah,
I think that's going to be a few dollars.
A fair few bob. The way they did basically referencing the Laker reincarnation that Matt did on his was it Free to Delete on his YouTube channel a few months back, where he went in the pool and he kept coming at different versions of Matt. They basically did a bit of that, and here you basically had the V1. What else did you have? You had the Hardy Boys Matt.
Yeah, because I think wasn't it? It was initially Classic Max. He did that, and then the next time it was the V1, and then Broken Matt again. And what I also liked as well was the fact that they played back into his old the character when they had the graphic thing come up on the screen. You know,
sort of thing. What did they call it? A matter of fact or something? This one they called it, I think.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, because then Dodo it's just Matt facts, I think, and here they.
And then I think on the bottom right of it, I think they had something. They had a list of which Matt is he going to be, kind of thing. And then
and obviously you had Ortiz and Santana looking at the facts as if they could read them as well, which I thought was quite funny. Again, that goes into moving away from the actual legit sports presentation, but diced in here and there, it's not too bad. It worked.
I liked how we're like, oh yeah, he can't swim, and he's like, it's like 3 feet of water.
Yeah. He was all careful getting in, like.
Yeah, coming down the steps and stuff.
Oh, and then the bell stuff as well. Like, that was hilarious. Like the reaction from Ortiz with the bell, and just like being really shocked. And then Matt brings in the chair of wheels. And then
chair of wheels, duct taped him into it.
Yeah, that was cool.
One spot as well that we did miss that was before that. What I liked as well was when they set up the barrier thing on top of 2 tables, Ortiz and Santana, and they powerbombed Kenny Omega through that.
Oh, yeah.
That looked quite sick. Yeah. That was super unstable as well. You had to have 2 refs holding the bloody table, but obviously they're not going to be that. And I like as well that it looked like they were using a lot more of the stuff that would have been around them in just a regular stadium. It wasn't like, we're going to go and bring in a lot of stuff. It's like, it's stuff that you'd go to a stadium, you'd find barriers at a stadium, you'd find tables at a stadium.
Maybe not a swimming pool, but it seems like at that stadium you do see swimming pools. But
But then it's like you look at Raymond James, they got a pirate ship there. You won't find a pirate ship.
Yeah, exactly. I really enjoyed the bit in the bar as well, like the classic bar fight where he throws him along the bar, and then a really nice touch when Omega comes in and helps him out, and then he pours himself a whiskey and a milk because Omega doesn't drink. So I thought that was really, really funny. And Hager was good in this match as well. And just him coming in and be like, I found you. And he sits down for the drink. And then they go,
like, do you want a drink or a fight kind of thing?
No, really, really well done. All that spot. You also had the mascot. That was cool. Who got the Judas effect, I think. I think it was. Knocked out the mascot. That was pretty cool. What else?
I think one of the nastiest looking bumps I think I actually saw, and it'll probably surprise a few people, but it was when Hager slammed Hangman onto the pool table.
Oh yeah.
Because there is no give in the pool table.
No.
That is like the top of that is solid slate. So you're hitting and you're hitting hard on that.
And I really enjoyed that part because it made me think. I don't know if that's like a members area or like a bar that's open, because at stadiums you've got different membership levels for a lot of season tickets and stuff like that.
To be fair, that section did look like
what kind of fan would be in there. But just imagine that is your team and you go to that bar and you're like, man, this is where this crazy match took place. It'd be really cool, so like, especially if you're a fan of the team watching it back and like, I know that part of the stadium. You know, that it must be really cool for Jags fans to be able to do that if you're a wrestling fan.
And do you think? So obviously you got your famous stadium. There's a clock at one end. They call it the clock end. Do you think they're going to call this part the bell end? The bell's at that end.
Not to be fair, yeah, probably best not to. So we're getting towards, I guess, the end of the match. Like I said, the 100-yard touchdown was quite good. Nice little celebration from Matt Jackson.
Yeah, part you said, obviously, with a mascot and Nick getting thrown into the Jaguar's head.
Do you remember as well? Nick Jackson did the run down from the steps. And then the flash onto the table. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
The line marker. Again, these are the silly ones that all these happened around the same time. They were all great, but I think they should have been spread out a little bit more as only criticism. But the line
he came up with the line marker straight over Jericho's face and that. And then straight after that was Sammy Guevara getting sprayed in the face with sprinklers and
getting
stuff.
Up thinking he's won. Yeah. And then getting chased down again by another golf cart, which was hilarious.
I mean, that was one of those where you'd kind of hear that like that kind of music over the top of it when he's like running away from it and stuff.
But he did play really well in this match. I think he was a very good performer. And then getting towards the end, you get the new drone in.
Neo 1,
the new to replace Vanguard, and then a one-winged angel, basically off of some sort of platform through some sort of madness. I
think that was probably the only part of when I was saying before about the stuff that you'd normally find in a stadium. I think that looked like the only real part of it that was like a constructed setup part of it, because it was like over the chairs and then through like a platform thing. But because he hit him with a V trigger at one point, which was when the Neo 1 distracted him. They hit the V trigger first, then the one-winged angel through the chairs, through the platform below. And then they. It's
got to take some guts to take that move through all that. It was some height on that as well.
I mean, and when I watched it back, I was like, the way that Kenny kind of tucked him in, and it just looked a massive bump, but it just looked so safe at the same time. It's like Omega just the way that how smooth Kenny did it. It's like you'd be like, mate, I would trust that guy with my life, and. You know, it worked out really, really good. So obviously that was how it finished.
And you've got to have that big ending. You know what I mean? Like it needed that massive spot in the stadium.
And then the Gatorade bath at the end.
Yeah, the nice little touch.
The Matt Hardy and the Elite coming out victorious.
And it was cool because then they had the graphics on the screen behind, they had the explosions of the fireworks, and they all did their pose. Like they got some great visuals out of this, and I feel like we've talked about it on the Money in the Bank review and predictions ones we did and stuff like that. There's certain things that you've just got to try and just get the best out of it while you can. And I think, like I said, they wouldn't do. I imagine they wouldn't have done an empty stadium match any other time. So it was a very, very wise decision to use their resources and do what they can. And they're very lucky that they are associated with, the Khan family and stuff like that, and they do have those resources. Makes you think what would happen if they came to London, if they go to Craven Cottage or something like that, and throw someone in the Thames. That'd be quite fun. But
you wouldn't want to get thrown in there. It's filthy.
That would be cool as well.
Yeah. I mean, do they still own Fulham? Because I was trying to work this out the other day. Do the Khans do still own Fulham, don't they? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. Because,
Because it was them that was trying to buy Wembley, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. But, no, I thought it was really good. And just going back as well to like the whole swimming pool thing, the one thing I did like about it was it didn't, like, watching that back, it wasn't kind of like, it's obvious that they're going to be doing this and that. It looked really smooth the way it was filmed and edited.
Yeah,
it just looked like one whole like.
Because it did start getting me wonder, when did they film it? Did they film even the match? I was thinking, was the entire match filmed the night before or anything like that? It was. I don't know. I'm sure a lot's going to come out about it, but that moment right there, they must have pre-taped a lot of it, and obviously to do those cuts. But it was very smooth because. Just from, only watching it once at least, I didn't notice, a hair out of place, so to speak, where, sometimes you see these things and you're like, oh, it's really tough because he's actually ripped his top there or something. They haven't continuity sort of thing. But
Yeah.
they did really well. Like Matt's walking around with wet hair and stuff. I don't know where these cuts would have been, as you say, but I thought it was done very, very smoothly. Unlike WWE.
Yeah, I think obviously it really did work super well, and got to give them a huge amount of kudos and credit for putting on a brilliant show. Actually, quite
very good show.
Really,
I was
really
worried
enjoyed it.
about Double or Nothing because I thought this is like their main show of the year. I feel like, and without fans, it was one thing for WWE to do, and it's one thing for them to do in a weekly with Dynamite. Don't get me wrong, but to do, because they don't have pay-per-views every month, so it was a real shame that they wouldn't, just much like it has been for everyone really, to not be able to do the normal things. But it was a real shame, I felt, for AEW, a company still growing. You've seen what's happened with the XFL. It's a risky time to get hit with what's been going on. So
yeah, definitely.
I was worried about, and who knows what the financial implications are going to be and how they maybe have been hit. But as far as a presentation performance, they really did well. Because I feel like AEW's Double or Nothing probably would have been a different card if there was an audience. It would have been a different show, and a different type of show that maybe they would have got more kind of eyes on them for building up through the year, bringing in Tyson and stuff like that. And I'm sure it did do some good numbers, compared to what they might have done without Tyson. But and those big matches, if they just went, let's just do a kind of normal show. Because that's what I liked about it. They didn't kind of undersell the fans because no one was there. They just did an alternative show. I think it was a different card than they would have done, but it wasn't a bad card and it wasn't a bad show at all. It was very, very good. And they saved some of those surprises for the future that I think deserve an audience.
Yeah, and I think they could as you say, they didn't really want to overdo it by we could bring in this name, bring in that name. It's the kind of thing where I think a lot of them, especially like the released ones from WWE, I think they've still got like 50 odd days left on their no compete clauses anyway. So you're thinking by the time that comes up, 2 months, hopefully they may have some kind of
something starting to
relative normality kind of back, where they may have at least some crowd and they could debut. Cause I heard a lot of people were saying, could it be like Zack Ryder that maybe debuted? It's like, well, no, because he can't.
He can't. Yeah.
Or like the FTR, whatever they're being called now,
and I can't wait for those kind of guys to show up, because I think they surely are going to go there. But I do want it to be with an audience. So it felt good that they didn't hold back on stuff, but under deliver because they held back. I felt like they held back on stuff, but still delivered, and that was refreshing to see.
Most definitely. So are we going to be doing this whole thing like how it's normally done on Talking Beans, where you vote out of a £10 note?
Oh, like rating it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, because even with the Money in the Bank, we didn't really rate it. We just said general thoughts.
A bit. It's like, it's all right.
Yeah, we'll come up with like a rate. We'll come up with a rating system another time. But generally speaking, I thought it was a really good show. Yeah,
I really did like it. I thought, it was probably the best empty arena pay-per-view I've seen all year. I liked WrestleMania. Don't get me wrong. I think that worked well over 2 nights. But this, I think
it was a better show. I really do. Like you say, Mania was good for what it was, but this.
I think this for just a one night event. I could have sat and watched like that, especially that main event. Like I could have easily sat there and watched that for another 15, 20
exactly
minutes.
That. I said I was getting tired 2 matches before, and I was like, I'm in an hour about going to bed. And then I got into this last match, and I thought, I might as well stay up and watch it, because I was like, it can't be that long before it ends. And it was quite long. But this match, completely, mate, the bird started tweeting, the sky started to get to a lighter blue, and I was starting to think, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to sleep and get up in time and record this? But but it didn't matter. Like, I was smiling the entire way through this match, and it distracted me. I suddenly didn't feel like sleepy anymore. So, hey, it just shows that, all right, if you have the long matches, you can lift us back up. So,
and it's one of them things as well, it distracted you as well from what was going on in the world.
And I like the touch. They mentioned it earlier. Obviously, they mentioned the 2 losses to the wrestling community this week as well, which is a nice touch. Yeah, quite a bit of that being mentioned, and also because did you notice Archer had the black armband for Gaspard as well, so that was quite nice.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of little references here and there, but yeah, they also mentioned, we're here. This is a tough week for the wrestling community and a tough time for everyone. They said it on commentary, and they were like, but we are here to distract you and give you entertainment. And sometimes that's like the company line and a bit hokey, but in a lot of ways it is true. So, and this genuinely felt like that. This was a positive distraction from everything that's gone on terribly in the wrestling world this week, and kind of terribly in the world for a while, but in general. But yeah, this was a nice distraction.
Most definitely was. I think that's a nice way as well to like wrap everything up, I guess, as well. From
get out of here, man. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go and stick our roast dinner on, as the English people generally do on a Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I can kind of see the oven started to go on, so I know like roast potatoes are imminent.
It's like calling audible. It's time to go home, brother. We got the roast on. Let's just wrap this up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wrap it up.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to the next AEW big show now. So. And
most definitely.
We've actually covered AEW for Rebellious Noise. You know, we've done a bit of New Japan on Talk of Beans. Obviously, been WWE for years now, but we've only covered AEW in written form. Really, we've never really done videos on it, and we've mentioned it a bit on Talk of Beans. But yeah, it's first time to do a review, and I think it was a good time to start, man. What a show to be the first AEW review that we do.
The first one I've pretty much watched, I think, since like last Double or Nothing. It's the first one I've watched from start to finish, like in its entirety. Like I flicked through highlights of other ones, but yeah. And I'm glad I did.
Me too.
Glad I sat and watched it. So anyway, everyone stay safe. Don't go out.
Yeah, just
don't be.
There's some stuff going on here with politicians doing stuff. It's just not. It's not. Great.
Don't be driving hundreds of miles to see family.
Yeah, don't go to your home. Anyway, stay safe.
So anyway, guys, that's it. If you like what you see, thanks so much for watching. Obviously, I've been Dan. He's been Scott. You can check us both out on Twitter. Dan_RebNoise, Scott_RebNoise. You can check us out, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, rebnoise.com, YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz.
Please subscribe.
If you like wrestling stuff, then obviously check out, we mentioned it during the during this video that we filmed a video on WWE World Cup, doing the men's and the women's. We've released Mania. There's going to be some other stuff that's going to be coming up soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And don't forget, it's not just wrestling stuff we cover. It's, loads of other stuff. We've got music content that we've got coming up. We've got football stuff that we've got coming up. So, get your eyes peeled. If you like it, give us a like. And if, we want to hear what your thoughts are on AEW, just drop them in the comments section down here somewhere. And, anything else you want us to cover, then let us know, and if we've got the resources and the manpower, we will do our best to do that. Stay safe. See you later. Peace out.
We've got a lot more wrestling content coming this year as well, guys, so please subscribe to Rebellious Noise on YouTube. Check out rebnoise.com and check out our podcast, Talking Beans, where we'll be talking about the main wrestling shows as we do throughout the year.